When I asked my daughter-in-law what time my son's funeral would be, she didn't cry. She didn't tremble. She simply said, "It already happened." We buried him in a small ceremony for close friends only. Her words hit me harder than the death itself. Final. Cold. As if she were telling me tomorrow's weather. I was standing in my kitchen, arranging a bouquet of white lilies. They were Marcus's favorite since he was a boy. I had bought them thinking I might bring them to the hospital. The doctors had said he was stable. They told me there was still time. But in one phone call, everything was stolen. The lily stems slipped from my fingers onto the floor. "Funeral? What funeral?" the doctor said. Her voice cut through mine, sharp. "When did you last speak to a doctor, Lorraine?" "He died last night. Complications from an infection." The kitchen spun. I gripped the counter, knuckles white. "Why didn't you call me? Why didn't someone?" "I tried." "You didn't answer," she said flatly. I looked at my phone. No missed calls. No messages. No alerts from the hospital. Nothing. My phone had been with me all day. "There's nothing from you," I whispered. "Well, maybe it was off. It doesn't matter now. The service is Thursday at 2. Immediate family only. Pastor Neil will officiate at my church. Not our church. Not the one where Marcus was baptized, where he sang in the children's choir. Her church." I begged. "Tessa, please. He was my son. I need to be there." Her reply was like ice. "Honestly, it might be better if you didn't come. Marcus wouldn't have wanted a scene. A scene. As if a mother grieving her only child was some kind of disruption. For a moment, I couldn't even breathe. This wasn't just loss, it was exile. I wasn't only being cut out of the funeral. I was being cut out of my son's farewell, his final chapter, as if my place in his life had never existed. And in that instant, I realized something deeper, something darker, was keeping me from him. It wasn't until I sat alone in Marcus's old bedroom, staring at the crooked diploma he had left behind, that the memories began stitching themselves into a pattern I had ignored for too long. This hadn't started with the funeral. It had been years in the making. I remembered the wedding. Just 3 days before the ceremony, Marcus called me, his voice hesitant. "Mom, about the seating arrangements. Tessa thinks it would be better if you sat in the second row instead of the front." I laughed nervously. "But I'm the mother of the groom." "I know, but her grandmother's in a wheelchair, and her family's larger. It'll mean a lot to her." I swallowed my pride. I didn't want to cause trouble, but it stung. That was the first small step backward. Then came the canceled visits. The first year, I marked them all on my calendar. March 15th, dinner with Marcus. Cancelled. Tessa has the flu. April 22nd, Easter at my house. Moved to her parents instead. June 3rd, Marcus's birthday. We'll celebrate next week. We never did. Always polite. Always reasonable. But always her. I tried harder. I drove 3 hours on his birthday one year, cake in hand. Tessa opened the door, looking surprised but quickly covering it with a smile. "Oh, Lorraine, how thoughtful. But we're just heading out for dinner with my family. There's no room at the table. It's small." Marcus walked into the hall, jacket in hand. "Mom, you didn't need to drive all this way. We could have celebrated this weekend. We didn't." Weeks later, I found out that same cake went stale in their refrigerator, untouched. At first, I thought it was bad timing, bad luck. Life was busy. marriages were complicated. But scrolling through old text messages told me the truth. 3 years ago, love you, Mom. Can't wait to see you Sunday. 2 years ago, hey, Mom, something came up. Can we reschedule? Last year, I'll call you later this week. Each one shorter. Each one colder. Each one less him. And now, with the truth about the funeral slamming into me, I could finally see it. This hadn't been chance. It had been deliberate. Years of careful separation. Visits canceled, plans intercepted, love quietly erased. And I had let it happen. Too afraid of being the overbearing mother-in-law, I stayed silent. I told myself patience would bring him back. But instead, I had been slowly, painfully replaced. A week passed after the funeral I never attended. 7 days of silence, of unanswered calls, of meals left untouched. I dialed every cemetery in the county, desperate for a trace of Marcus. Each no record felt like another door slammed in my face. Then, on the 8th morning, the phone rang. Tessa's name glowed on the screen. My pulse jumped. "What the hell are you doing to my life?" she snapped. I blinked, stunned. "Tessa, what are you talking about? Don't play innocent." The lawyers, the questions, the investigation. "Stop it. I haven't contacted anyone," I whispered. "I've been trying to find my son's grave because you wouldn't tell me." Silence stretched. Then her voice dropped. Riverside Cemetery. Section C, Plot 247. My hand trembled as I wrote it down. But before I could thank her, she added quickly, "We need to talk. In person." When I arrived at her house, I barely recognized her. Gone was the polished, controlled woman who had always kept me at arm's length. Her clothes were wrinkled, her hair undone, her eyes swollen. She poured coffee, but her hands shook. Papers littered the counter, legal documents, wills, contracts. Finally, she spoke. "Marcus changed his will 3 months ago. He left everything to you. The house, the savings, the life insurance. And he hired a private investigator." The words froze me. "Why?" Her gaze faltered. "To find out the truth. Why you and he barely spoke anymore." Then it all spilled out. Emails she had deleted before Marcus could read them. Phone calls she had intercepted. Messages she had sent pretending to be him. Years of manipulation, all to distance us. My chest tightened. "You pretended to be my son?" She nodded, shame in her eyes. "I thought I was protecting our marriage. I felt like I was competing with you." But then he found out. He confronted me. He said, "Love doesn't work that way. You don't tear one bond down to build another." Her voice cracked. "And then he changed his will. He left you everything." The next day, I sat in a lawyer's office. Daniel Reyes slid a sealed envelope across the desk. My name was written in Marcus's familiar hand. "Mom." My fingers shook as I unfolded the letter. And in those lines, my son spoke to me from beyond the grave. He told me he knew the truth. That none of it was my fault. That he loved me, always had, and always would. Tears blurred the ink, but his words stitched something back together inside me. He had seen through the lies. He had chosen me. And even in death, he was giving me one last gift, the truth. 3 days later, I sat across from Tessa again, this time in Daniel Reyes's office. She looked smaller somehow, worn down by the weight of her choices. The tissue in her hand was already damp. Daniel cleared his throat. "Mrs. Whitfield has made her decision regarding the estate. I took a breath. You'll keep the house, free and clear. But the savings and the life insurance will go into a foundation in Marcus's name. A foundation to help children maintain relationships with their grandparents after divorce or family conflict. Her eyes widened. Why would you, after everything I've done? Because Marcus wouldn't have wanted you homeless. But he also wouldn't have wanted you to profit from what you did. Tears slipped down her face as she whispered, I don't deserve even that. No, I said softly. You don't. But this isn't about you deserving it. It's about me honoring Marcus's memory. There were conditions. She would sign a statement acknowledging exactly what she had done, every intercepted message, every deleted email, every stolen moment. It would remain private unless she ever tried to rewrite history. And she would attend real counseling, not just a token effort, but real work to understand why she had destroyed what she feared most, love. When she finished signing, she looked up at me. Thank you for not destroying me. I met her eyes, steady. Don't thank me. Thank Marcus. This was his mercy, not mine. Months later, a package arrived. Inside was a framed photo of Marcus I had never seen, sunlight on his face, laughter frozen in time. On the back, Tessa had written, I thought you should have this. Thank you for showing me what real love looks like. I'm learning. I placed it on my mantle beside the others. The foundation in Marcus's name was already helping families reconnect, turning my grief into a force for healing. But the real peace came quietly, in my garden, with white lilies in hand and his letter close to my heart. I no longer thought about the years stolen. I thought about the love that endured. Stronger than lies. Greater than loss. A love that even death couldn't erase. If you've ever felt separated from someone you love, I want you to know, you are not alone. And the truth, no matter how deeply buried, always finds its way to the light.